Relationship issues?
Relationship talk
On 702.
So, time now for our relationship feature. And today we are discussing the spark versus the slow burn relationships. You know, relationships that start so intense. They're instant fireworks and people are so in love and crazy about each other from day one. Some people call it love at first sight. And then you've got those relationships that are sort of slow. They start really slow. They build up over time. And I wonder what works for you. Are you a type of person that just goes, I go with my feelings. And if I'm in love here, I'm in love and I'm not going to restrict myself. Or you're a type of person that says, it doesn't matter how much I'm attracted and emotionally connected to this person, I'm still going to regulate myself because I want things to really start slow. And over a period of time, things can develop. There can be a more deeper emotional connection. Please give us a call. Send a WhatsApp voice note to share your experience and what your expectations and your preferences are. Some slow burn relationships, will happen because sometimes two people begin as friends. You start off as friends and you don't really have an initial element of passion or infatuation or even physical chemistry. And then over time that builds up, right? And that is what some people prefer in a relationship. So give us a call on 011-883-0702. Let us know, what pace do you move with in your relationship? Do you feel the fireworks right away, or do you prefer the flames that are built gradually? Refiloe Khameli is the relationship and dating coach who's in studio with us here. Refiloe, welcome back on the show. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and to all your listeners. It's such a pleasure being here in studio with you.
What an interesting conversation we're having, right? Because there's always going to be that person in a relationship who comes out strong. Sometimes it's both people who are the spark is there from the love is so intense. But most times what I normally pick up from my observation is that it will be one person who comes out strong, the other one who's like, let's take our time and stuff. So let's start maybe with the definition of how do we define this spark versus this slow burn kind of relationship?
Yeah. A spark, I think it's exactly what it is. At the beginning, you feel this overwhelming sense of butterflies and I guess hormones are at play there. You've got your adrenaline, you've got your oxytocin, and you just are excited by this person. And there's also a part of you that's, having preconceived ideas about who they are, so you find yourself more attracted to them than you would, any other person. Whereas, obviously, the slow burn relationship is based on familiarity and trust, and a lot of people want to get there before they can even define the arrangement that they are in.
Yeah. So, you mentioned butterflies, and I know I'm diverting a bit here. Do you perhaps know how it feels like to have when people say, butterflies in my stomach, what do you guys mean normally? Can anybody explain that? Someone explain that to us. When you talk about butterflies in your stomach, what is the feeling like? What do you feel? Do you feel adrenaline? Do you feel... Because I really am interested to know that. And I know we use it as... It's more symbolic. Obviously...
There's usually a sense of rush through your body.
Goosebumps.
Goosebumps. And, you're a little unsettled because something's happening to you as a response to this thing that you are seeing or human being that you are next to. But a lot of people start like that and then things fizzle out because life. Yeah.
Okay, so is it fine, though, Refiloe, to start off so strong? Because... I just feel like, and I said earlier to the listeners, we love following other people's blueprints of what love is supposed to feel like. And I'm not sure, I'm in an area in my life now, in a period in my life where even with the books I read, I always remind myself that this is how this person experienced it, and it doesn't have to be the same way to you. Whether you're reading about love, whether you're reading about success, whether you're reading about a spiritual journey, we are different and will experience things differently. So for people who love so deeply that on that first day, they're already talking about kids and marriage and you are their life. They can't live without you. Is that toxic? Because sometimes we describe it like that.
I think this, our current definition of this is toxic, this is not. Again, I think you have a point in that people experience it differently. And I guess it's the intent that they are communicating that's based on how they are feeling. But sustainable or not is a different question, because they would have to obviously speak to the person that they feel this way about to find out where they are. And some people are more or comfortable with speaking about their feelings, and some people haven't figured it out. Like, if I'm a person that's a slow burn, I still want to get to a point where I can communicate what it is that I'm feeling about you. And that person who's experiencing that rush of emotions, they can be quite disappointed that I don't feel the same. So both cases are very natural and very normal. So it's just about, can we talk about it? So I can openly and honestly tell you, this is where I'm at. And let's try to meet each other halfway, or try to move at a pace that's more reasonable for both of us.
So it's okay to suggest that, right? So
it's
just because
okay.
Someone is coming out strong doesn't mean you must also just ride the wave. If you are uncomfortable, talk about it.
Yeah. Even though I must caution this, the spark at the beginning, and those rush of emotions, they can be quite blinding.
Yeah.
It's not to say the other one doesn't have sparks that, slow burn. There usually is, something there. You're like, this gentleman, he his beard does something to me, or this lady, this, that. But, over time, you want the familiarity of it. And with that spark, it can be blinding in that you don't even think about red flags, or you don't even think about, is this person compatible with me? And perhaps, you've always wanted a person that looks or speaks in this manner, and you've thought in your mind that would be the perfect partner for you, but you have not thought about compatibility and a life with them. So the spark needs to be characterized or with a breather and some break and some reflection, but it doesn't always work out that way.
So don't just be crazy in that moment and think, this is it. You haven't spoken about finances. You haven't spoken about beliefs.
Nope.
Because there are some, that there are people who will say, well, I've got some, for me, this is a deal breaker. You haven't even looked at those. You're just so sexy, nice hair, or dark as I like them, or the yellow bone, whatever your preference is. So always just reflect is what Refiloe is saying. What about, the stuff that starts really slow, Refiloe? Because some people feel like, if you're not going to show me how crazy you are about me now, then are you? Because some people are like, no, let me see you once a week first. Or, I don't think I want to come to your family's gathering, because for me, that's a step that's too advanced. We can do that after maybe 4 weeks or 3 months or a year. So how do we then, as people maybe who are so intense in our love, accept the other one who wants to take it slow? Where do we meet each other halfway?
Well, because both feelings are valid, I guess we start by accepting that they are having a human experience and so are you. And sometimes they've been informed by what they've gone through in the past. Sometimes it's informed by the kind of person they are and how they attach. We'll talk a little bit more about attachment styles. But I think an open conversation and some understanding, because you are not, cut out from the same fabric, and to give the other person grace. I mean, for a period, because I know some people who, they have full-on relationships and the person has never met the other person's family. And the partner who's never met the family can view it as they don't want, they're serious with them. But perhaps their family is not very welcoming of people that either they're not married to. So there are always other factors. And the more you have the conversation open, I think the better for your relationship, because you've got to bring understanding and not expectations that are too high and often unreasonable for the unit. Because the pace you go about it, your own life, it can't dictate the pace the relationship should go at.
Okay. So what influences how we respond then in relationships? So let's talk about those attachment styles.
Yeah.
How do attachment styles then influence whether someone prefers a spark or a sort of a slow burn, so to speak?
Yeah. You get people that were raised a certain way, because there's this belief in psychology that your primary caregivers are the ones that inform you how to love or how to be in a relationship, because you are always looking for either the familiarity of it or something extremely different from that, because whatever you've experienced was so painful. So an anxious attachment person really just avoids commitment at all costs. And when they are committed to somebody, they really avoid losing them, because for them it's about, I need to be secure. Yeah. I need to have someone, or not have, if somebody is unsure about me, and not have them at all. Because they tend to not be settled in the, the gray area that sometimes exists when two people are, whether figuring out whether they'll be together or not. And then you find somebody that's very securely attached. They can do with some distance, and they can probably cope fine with sparks in the beginning, but they are the person that will usually say, hey, we're moving a little bit too fast, do you mind having a conversation about it? I may not have a problem with the pace, but perhaps let's talk a little bit. Then you get people that are a little bit disorganized in that they prefer the extremities in their attachment. So if it's not a rush of passion and drama and big emotions and big grand gestures, then
does that include like big fights and big conflicts?
Yes. There are actually people who believe that my partner should be jealous and he should have a little bit of toxicity about me. Yes,
I mean, I've heard ladies who will say, yeah, but I just want him to be a little bit jealous in a toxic way a bit. I was like, what do you mean? Like, because jealousy, I believe all of us have a bit of jealousy. It's a natural feeling, but there's a time when it crosses the line. And I've often heard people say, I don't mind it crossing a line a little bit. And I'm like, that is toxic. What makes people feel so desperate for the next person to want to own them like that? And that you cannot be with anybody else but me.
If it's dissected two ways, there could be a bit of trauma bonding from obviously something that's given them comfort that existed like that before, and that feeling gives them a psychological hook. Like for me, if that person is essentially wants me to themselves, it means they won't go for anybody else, and it keeps me secure in the relationship.
Gives you safety of sorts.
So it could just be that. But like you said, jealousy is absolutely normal, and I guess not the toxic level is the one that I would worry about. But I hope people are continuing to have these conversations about what is safe in terms of our behavior around people, my behavior towards you, because it can get.
Yeah, we once got a message, Refiloe, on the show. There's a feature we do called the sharing space, and a lady, I remember, sent us a message and said, I'm with this guy who has taken me to so many countries in the space of, I think, about 3 months, and then said he's bought me flowers, he's just doing too much. I love it, but I'm also scared. It doesn't feel safe. And I remember people calling in, and this person wanted to know, what do I do? Like, this person is just, it's a dream come true, basically. This lady is like, I've met the best man ever who's doing all these things that I've always dreamt of, and I've always dreamt of a partner doing for me, but I'm so scared. I'm not secure in that, because I just feel like too good to be true. So I think sometimes people find themselves in that situation where they just feel, is this safe, or is it going to disappear? Should I get used to it and accept it? Because if I do get used to it and accept it, what if I lose it tomorrow? Am I going to be able to survive that?
Yeah.
So how do people rationalize that feeling of, you are so happy to be here, but not 100% because you're feeling unsafe?
Yeah, some people are still working on themselves, and that's a valid question to ask if things don't feel like how you've been. So are you in a transition of perhaps attracting a different kind of person now that you've done the work that speaks to you and how you present yourself? Or could you be more anxious about the new, things that happen in the beginning? And all relationships don't always exist how they start. So there's also that nervousness of, will it fizzle out? Our quote unquote spark will fizzle out, and then I won't be so excited about this person anymore. But nothing beats obviously having the conversation to say, I see all this, I'm just not used to it. Could we have a conversation about that? Is this the kind of partner you are? Because at the beginning, we are all pitching to one another. Like, come be with me because this is what I'm about. But the sustenance of that person will quickly show you that actually no. But you do get people that are extremely consistent, and it doesn't matter.
And that's what the lady was saying as well.
Yes.
The lady was like, "What's scaring me is the consistency, because this chap has been consistent." So some lady was like, "What do you want then?
Yeah.
Like, just be secure and be." Because sometimes we're so used to being in toxic relationships,
being
where
let
we're
down.
not appreciated, we're let down. And when something comes that is so genuine, it's a shock to our system. And unconsciously we start fighting it in some ways. And sometimes we must learn to just accept that here I've got gold.
Yes, and not to discount what you've done to be with that person or to attract a person of that caliber. So how you attract and how you show up in relationships earlier on when you are younger obviously differs as you grow and you learn about this is what it means to be in a relationship. There's this hyper vigilance now of healthy relationships.
Yeah.
So people always strive to be like that. Oh, please tell me if what I'm saying is offensive. Please tell me if, people are very mindful of how they make other people feel.
Yeah.
Then you'll start attracting people who can see that, oh, you are conscious that I'm in the room and that is something new. So I don't want people to discount also working on themselves and making better choices. Now you attribute all this thing to this person doing things for you, but you've shown them that you are worth it in some instances.
Okay, it's 25 minutes now after 11 o'clock. A fascinating conversation about the spark versus the slow burn kind of relationships. What do you prefer? What are you more comfortable with? Are you a type of person that you really become so intense from the beginning? They're instant fireworks. You are so in love that in that moment, this is a person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Or are you a type that starts with, let's start slow, or maybe let's be friends first and then let's see where it goes. Or yes, I do love you and I'm attracted to you, but let's take it one step at a time. I'm not going to meet your family after 6 months. Or your children after 2 months. I still need some time. What do you prefer? What have you been in? And what worked for you? What didn't work for you? 011-883-0702. WhatsApp's on 0727021702.
Morning, Clems. When relationships start, for me, I always see the red flags whereby, like it's been 1 or 2 or 3 weeks in, then the person can go a day without speaking to me. Or, like the person is not excited to hear my voice or receive my call. That's where I'm like, I'm out because I cannot deal. So it shows that in the future, this is how it's going to be, and she doesn't like me as much. So I'm out. Peace.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, Refiloe, because I've seen this dynamic in some instances where, a lady was being pursued by a guy, and then we chat, and then the lady friend will say, yeah, but he didn't text me today. I'm like, but did you guys have an agreement that you're going to text each other every day? So there's these, in class, they don't really talk about the unconscious agreement of psychological contracting, they call it, where you have expectations. They're not written, they're not spoken of, but you expect someone to do that for you.
Yeah.
Is it safe to do that, or now I'm a type of person says, what are the ground rules?
Yeah. Psychological contracting is a whole concept altogether. But I would ask a question. Are you okay today? Did you lose your phone? And
you were different today than other days.
Than other days. So is something wrong? Because perhaps that's the day they needed your phone call. But that's just me. But what tends to happen then is that overselling of who I am, because I want you now in my life. And then I subconsciously decide I don't want you anymore, but I don't want to voice it out because I never voiced out the beginning. There's that few weeks that he's talking about, which are very common, where people don't say this is what we are. It's just like we're attracted to one another, and then the calls are there night and day, the text, and then something fizzles out because either somebody's experienced what they're now commonly known as the ick, or people were overselling what they were about. And without asking the question, you won't get the answer. And if you're not getting the answer, does it cost? Have they changed if you turn around and become the person that calls them now?
Yeah.
Because we should be open to sharing the load equally.
Oh, yeah, these days is not sharing loads. Some people think you must be the one that calls every day.
Yeah.
Say good morning,
Yeah.
say good night.
Yeah.
No relationship is sustainable like that.
Yeah, no.
In the long run. Maybe it's working now for you, my friend, but in the long run, yeah. Mongezi, you calling from Johannesburg. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement.
Sure.
Yeah, I've got two questions. So the first one is, a lot of the times, when you meet someone for a new relationship, which isn't something I'm looking for, but when you meet someone in a new relationship, the spark and slow burn thing becomes a mismatch from the very beginning. So much so that the slow burn person feels overwhelmed by the spark person.
Yes.
So my question is, do the slow burn people sometimes regret it and vice versa for not entering into that relationship for fear of it? I imagine it's like a fear of heights and someone just invites you to bungee jump on day one, So, and I think this affects both relationships and friendships. When someone is an extrovert and you're an introvert, it kind of feels like this person is too much and it ruins the connection from the beginning, but you could have been great friends or lovers, or whatever the case is. How do you balance that? How do you reach that balancing point? Because it's good enough to say communicate, but you can't really, communication styles aren't the same with someone you've just met today or last week, and they feel overwhelming. So yeah, those are my questions.
That's true. Mongezi, if you don't mind me asking, are you the spark kind or the slow burn?
Me, I'm mid-range, man.
Mid-range.
But also...
At least you found a balance, Mongezi. That's a good thing.
Yeah, my wife would probably say I'm spark, but I feel like I'm mid-range with a mid-range but an adrenaline junkie at the same time.
Got it. Thank you, Mongezi, for that. After the headlines, I'll get Refiloe to respond to that question. How do you balance it? It's 11:30.
Relationship issues
Relationship Talk.
on 702.
It's going up to 19 minutes now before 12 o'clock. Refiloe Khameli is our relationship and dating coach, guiding us through this conversation about how we start relationship. Does it start as intense, like it's a spark and someone is crazy, or is it a slow burn kind of relationship where we get to know each other, or maybe we started off as friends? And we got a call, Refiloe, before we took the headlines from Mongezi, who was asking about sometimes there's a mismatch. You are the one that's got the spark and you're crazy. You wanna do this now, and the other one is more of a slow burn. So how do you balance?
Yeah, there's no perfect balance to be reached here. And I think that shouldn't be the goal, but understanding and wanting to be with your partner longer should. So what can I do as a slow person to give you the intensity you are searching for at different points in our relationships? And me as an intense lover, where can I give you a break? And sort of feed your slow to trust and slow to attach appetite. I guess you have to ask yourself, what are you after? And when we come to new relationships, we have to always look at our past. Things didn't probably work out because I always give up at the point where I feel like I'm overwhelmed by this person, or vice versa. So this person that I'm currently with, am I after a different set of results? And what can I give them in order to just reassure them a little bit?
Yeah. Let's go to some WhatsApps.
I might trust you well. It seemed to me humans evolve in as far as love and relationships issues are concerned. In the olden days, our parents would, I want to believe, they would take it very slowly, as opposed to the generation now. But
did our parents take it slow? Some of them did, but I don't think it's all of them who did.
No, I know couples who've been together for close to 50 years and they'll say, no, he knew 2 or 3 times after seeing me that I'm the one.
Yeah.
So I guess, but to his point that perhaps what makes people stay in relationships is also different nowadays. And if people want to stay in those relationships. But what I do want to say is that in our older years as humans, we do actually tend to be slow burn people. Have you ever noticed when, a circle of friends are starting to become widowers, that those people end up being together because the familiarity of the slow burn, the friendship over the years, the security of I understand your lifestyle, you understand mine, tends to be a basis for attraction. So we do also have that part of us that's just looking for something familiar because in the beginning there's a bit erratic and a stranger will rattle me too much.
Oh my God, that's so important, Refiloe, because I do think we also I think we're learning more about love and relationships because in the beginning, some people were misled to think love is supposed to be this thing where, oh, I'm sexually attracted to you, let's go. You meet and tick this physical attraction box, let's go. But to sustain a relationship, your looks are not enough.
Nope.
The amazing time you have in the bedroom is not enough. There are so many other elements that are important. And I think as we learn more about love and ourselves, we realize that. And that's why people who are widowed, who are friends will say, but this person ticks all these other boxes. And maybe they may not be as handsome or as beautiful as I wanted, but I can forgo that because other things mean more. And I can have a holistic, experience of this love. Here's another voice note.
When you're falling in love with the wrong person, you feel butterflies in your stomach. Because when you break up with them, you will definitely feel bats in your stomach. Raimaraji's thinking.
That is funny.
Hi, Clement. Yes, I'd like to remain anonymous. When it comes to relationships, I like the spark. I like the slow burn for me. Let's start off friends, and I feel like that's the issue. For me, I just feel like we're just going to end up being friends. Whereas if I see you and I want you as a partner, for me, that's the goal. And once we start, I'm just like your guest said, I'm very consistent, extremely consistent. So yeah, it does tend to put pressure on my partner. And sometimes if I don't receive it back, I feel like I'm less loved or not loved enough.
Yeah. And you see, that's where you gotta be careful of, how do I not impose as well? Because if I'm an intense spark kind of a lover, and Refiloe is more of a slow burn, how do we not then impose what we expect on each other? As you said earlier, finding that balance, and it's not always going to be possible or perfect, but yeah, don't say because I'm a spark, I expect you to just love me similarly, or because I'm a slow burn, I expect you to also take things slowly. Let's have conversations. Here's the thing though, Refiloe, and I'm picking this up on our messages as well on the WhatsApp line. There are some, and it's particularly guys who are saying, I've experienced relationships where in the beginning the lady will say, let's take it easy. And sometimes maybe the lady's playing what we used to call hard to get growing up. I don't know if that's still a thing these days. How do you then know that? Because there are some ladies who will say, I actually like the person, but I'm going to pretend like I don't. I mean, that's so childish.
That really works. I mean, in this day and age, you've got to go after what you want. At least give it a good shot and say, okay, I did try, or I did, And I wanted to talk to the point of your caller about, sometimes you are becoming consistent. One of the most critical questions for that phase of honeymoon phase, whatever they call when sparks are high, is the question, how would you like to be shown love? Because I'm going to expect something from you. And if I haven't told you that this is what I expect, then, And on the point of consistency, I would like to see the consistency beyond your wanting to call me that you are a consistent person. So you may be a consistent lover, and then I see other areas of your life where you are showing. That's why I may not trust that. So a consistent person is a consistent person in my view, that you will see that, they've they've been consistent with others in their lives or other parts of their lives. So yeah, it may make me uneasy if I only see that with other things you've touched here, you've started this, you didn't finish it, but with me you claim to be consistent, so it may be hard to trust.
Yeah. So just a quick one before the break. How long should you give a connection to develop? So maybe someone approached you and you're like, well, they're not bad, but they're not like 100%. Is there like a period where you can say, let me just go out with them, see them, and then, go to dinner, chill, watch a movie, and then maybe something will develop?
Yeah.
Normally, do you give that a year or
it's hard to say because those are not the only factors. For example, you could have that person and they could live far. You could have that person and they may not be over their previous relationship. So if, there is some semblance of we want to be together, I think the two of you will take the action to want to find out what the connection is about. So those are not necessarily the only two factors. The fact that you are giving each other time for dates. Is that person truly available to you? And oftentimes they may not be.
Yeah. Okay, we've got some more calls and WhatsApp. So after the break, we'll get straight to them. 702.
Relationship issues
Relationship talk.
on 702.
8 minutes before 12 o'clock. Here are some of the WhatsApps that came through.
Good morning, Clem. Can you please ask your guest there? So I've been single for about 3 years now, if not more. And the reason is I have a very different approach to getting into relationships where I'm like, I'd rather be friends and get to know you first. And we'll see from there, And most of the ladies I meet, they don't have the time for that. They're like, no, let's get into a relationship. What's your goal with me and whatnot? And I'm like, I don't even know you that well, to know if you actually someone I like, you actually someone I want to try something with, or let alone trust you with my life. So I've been having a series of very failing relationships or potential relationships with people I actually really, really like. So how do I handle that? Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you for that, Refiloe.
How is he letting them know that he likes them? Because yes, let's start slow, but how are you demonstrating your interest? Because he's more laid back way of doing things, and the slow burn may come off as rejection. But I know a lot of people who are most people are actually anxious attachers than they ought to believe. And if I don't have certainty from what we are doing for me, I'm going to be reluctant to do it. And some people take friendship as friend zoned, as in rejected. It's just a beautiful place to get to know each other without any pressure. Yes, some people find it hard to, now that I have this friend platonic feelings towards you, I can't lose the friendship and translate them into a relationship. But oftentimes they're not. It can unravel into beautiful relationships because it's so laced with safety and trust and vulnerability that you've had to give without feeling the pressure to give.
Yeah. True. Let's go to Eric, who's calling us from Centurion. Eric, good morning.
Hey, Clement, how are you, brother?
Good, man. Go ahead.
Good, man. Yeah, Clement, my philosophy is that, when chemistry hits, when you hit that person and you meet that person, they're so slow or fast. When you click and intertwine exactly at the same point, you don't have that fear of, does she love me, or does he like me? You just go with the flow, and then love itself will just, work out. That's my philosophy. This thing of slow burner, fast burner, I think people are just sussing out they're still looking at other options. I like being wholeheartedly in that relationship. Yeah, that's my take on that. Thanks, man.
Well, thank you so much, Eric. Another one says, hi Clement, I would like to remain anonymous. I grew up with a lot of abandonment issues. This led to trust issues and constant need to always have to communicate with my then girlfriend, now my wife. She understood my past and how I grew up and helped me to get over those abandonment issues I had. Today we have the healthiest relationship because she cared. She took her time with me and she healed me just by being kind to me and by not giving up on us. If it was someone else, they would have never tolerated my behavior. Viva. Ngesithandwa sami, Viva. That's so cute.
That is amazing.
On Valentine's Day. That is so cute. Another one says, Clement, now I'm tired. What flows slows, white flies. Yay, these gents are love bombing us at the beginning. The most painful type of love one can ever come across. And then what do we determine as love bombing? Because just because someone is ushering you with gifts doesn't mean all of them are love bombing you. It may be that some of them are the spark kind of guys. That's how they show their love.
Yeah, I guess without time and sussing him out or being interested in the person, there's no way of finding out immediately. So I guess you've got to build capacity to explore that connection. And some people will just switch off because it's off-putting to have somebody just, bold declarations of love and it's only a week in. So yeah, I guess, again, if you've got the capacity to go see what the spark is about, do it. But if not, I would also be concerned because I want to know that you know me in order to love me so that I can be safe. But we are not always like that.
Yeah, true. Refiloe, thank you so much for guiding us through this chat. It was so insightful. Refiloe Khameli is a relationship and dating coach. It's 3 minutes before 12.